Good morning, everybody, and welcome to ulti.TV's coverage of xEUCF 2021, the Extended European Ultimate Championship Finals, here in I think a slightly misty and mysterious-looking Bruges. But there's a tiny bit of nip in the air, and it maybe just adds a little bit of the tension, because we are now down to bracket play here in the Open Division, and we are kicking things off with what promise to be barnstorming Open quarterfinals. Over on field 3, you can watch Bad Skid versus Ranelagh, but we're focusing our action on what I think is going to be a thoroughly engrossing contest with Danish champions KFK, the Copenhagen Frisbee Club, taking on CUSB La Fotta, the pride of Italy, and the tournament's defending champions. Good morning, everyone. For all of our ulti.TV crew here on the ground, my name is Benjamin Rees, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ali Thomas. Well, this is it's not a bad game to start the day with.
No, certainly not. I think this is this feels like two kind of juggernauts coming together head to head, and there's going to be some metaphorical slobber flying.
It's interesting because these two teams have had slightly different tournaments, I think it's fair to say. Didn't start particularly well for La Fotta. Went down 15-14 to Moon Catchers, but they got through to the power pools, and when they were there, 14-12 victory over Wall City, 14-11 victory over Chak, ended up topping the pool, going straight to the quarterfinals, and they're now playing a KFK side that, with the exception of their game against Clapham, where they went down 15-9, has really shown some strong credentials in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think absolutely going down to Clapham is not necessarily an indication of a team's quality, since Clapham are currently undefeated. So it's may well be, well, it's definitely one of these teams in the final. That's how the brackets work. But
yeah, so the winner of this game will play the winner of Bad Skid Ranelagh, which is the other quarterfinal we are streaming over on field 3 on one half of the bracket. On the other half of the bracket, I did have this up, and I have completely whiffed on where I put it. There we go, the other side of the bracket, it is Clapham taking on Wall City from Berlin, who we saw dispatched MUC with consummate ease yesterday, versus the other automatic semi-finalist, Gentle, up against Foy, and the winners of those two quarterfinals meet on that side of the championship bracket.
so lots and lots of exciting Frisbee we have lined up for you today, with 2 field coverage here in Bruges, Belgium. So for everybody watching back, do remember to engage with this video, like, comment, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell to get notifications sent to your phone or tablet every time we go live with more ultimate coverage here for free on YouTube.
Yes, 7 games on each pitch today, 14 games in total. And if that isn't a mouth-watering prospect at this time of the morning, then I don't know what is. Don't answer that, because I can think of some other things that are.
Some kind of Belgian waffle, perhaps.
Oh, I tell you what, I could really go for that. So starting on offense is the reigning, defending European champions, CUSB La Fotta. That underneath pass is a little bit floaty, not a problem though. Reeled in, and CUSB flowing their way down the field relatively nicely so far. Turning, pivoting around across towards the far side to copy. High release, really well reeled in, because that catch was not made in the end actually. Couldn't get it to stick.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of early game jitters here for the boys from Bologna. Just working the kinks out. It is 9 AM local time, so maybe their coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, no, never the ideal time for a game, but at this level you expect to be ready for that. And this KFK team can really turn it on in streaks. Oh. That one is intercepted brilliantly in the midfield, and Bologna's O-line gets it back.
Look like Arturo Laffi with the D.
This one's going to be some bid, and is expertly made by young Alessandro De Luca. He is such a bright light of Italian youth ultimate. Been very impressed with his performances on the international stage and here at the top of the club game as well. William Mocchini down the sideline to the aforementioned Alessandro De Luca. Swinging into the centre, Tonelli. Goes round, they're just playing it nicely around the back. Oh, gets the force all on the floor, and now they'll take advantage. to run it all the way to the end zone. Not quite in just yet. Can they find that final scoring pass?
So it's some excellent end zone defense here from KFK. Although credit to the Italians, they're also looking very calm in the face of it.
That one sees the matchup they like one-on-one. Gilman, there's no way he can react in time, and it's a little lead pass to Alberto Danelli, and that is the first point of the game. It goes Bologna's way, which they'll be happy with, but for KFK, you can say, look, we generated the turnover. You know, we were moving it okay until that errant throw, so good signs to build from, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at a high level like this, you are not expecting the O-line to turn over often. So to force a turn in the first point of the game is a big kind of mental boost. You know, we've done it once. We know that we can do it again. Obviously, things are sometimes a little bit more shaky in the early game as teams are kind of feeling each other out. They're kind of figuring out what they can get away with. But having those kind of crucial early Ds for the coach or captain to say, just more of that, is a bonus for KFK.
Yeah, you're setting a good precedent, not only for your teammates, who kind of it shows the commitment that they have to make, but also for your opponents, because it lets them know that you are here and you are fired up and you are ready to play. And sometimes half the battle is just engaging your opponents in that sort of contest.
That's a very big pull coming down at a bit of an angle.
Well caught and well fielded by KFK. Looks like they're trying to sag off those handlers. They really want to force the lateral passes here. To Bologna, and there's a turnover right on the end zone line. Miscommunication.
Hand block.
Oh, wow. Either way, an opportunity to pounce. And the pride of Ireland, Podge Sweeney, pops in for the goal. Wow, that was a devastating D-line for CUSB.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get more of an opening statement than a hand block on the end zone line on the first appearance of this Danish O-line. That's a bit of a slam of the door.
It's not ideal.
No, definitely not.
For KFK fans, certainly not ideal. But this is the thing, you've seen the quality of that CUSB possess, and maybe that loss to Mooncatchers on day one, maybe kind of let them know that we can't afford to take these early games off. You know, we can't look to the final already. We've got to make sure that we work our backsides off to get there in the first place.
It also doesn't hurt that Mooncatchers are now out of contention for the final. So
I mean, honestly, after that, if you told me after they beat CUSB that they would not even have made the pre-quarters, I would have. I mean, I wouldn't have laughed in your face. That's rude, but I'd have been very shocked.
I think anyone at this tournament, and indeed anyone watching at home, would have absolutely had the same reaction as you. They did what? And then they did what?
Yeah, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat there, just all wrapped up within 2 days for the team from Brussels. So KFK trying to put their first point of the game on the board against a La Fotta D-line that might be the best in Europe. They can play that tight physical one-to-one defense when they want to, but it feels like they've got more team defense in the locker rather than just putting each player on an island. High stall, KFK rip it deep, and if you're going to rip it deep on a high stall, you cannot do it any better than that. It's Goldire right in stride. First point of the game for KFK, they trail 2-1. I
mean, that is a lovely deep shot, no matter how you slice it. And not really sure how CUSB managed to let Kasper Guldager get that free. I mean, you seem to have a lot of separation coming off the back of the stack. So perhaps on your replay, we don't have a replay screen here, so only the viewers at home are being treated to that. Hopefully he's setting up his cut well and not a napping Bologna defender.
So 2-1 Bologna lead. Turned over on their first 0 point, but got it back and put it in. Then turned KFK for a break. KFK now held their own 0 point. So again, like you can see there's a little bit of back and forth early on, and it's not going to be a blowout one way or the other. We mentioned KFK; they have these little streaks in them. You know, they scored 7 in a row to go from 8-6 to 15-6 against Isno. They beat Red Bulls at half 8-0, who you imagine will have shown some similar things defensively. So they can go on these runs where they're just almost impossible to stop.
And that experience against Red Bulls, who you would imagine have a similar style of play and similar tactics potentially, to CUSB might be important. Oh wow, what a bid!
To the Bolognese, goes and gets a little diss to the shoulder for his troubles. That looks like Alberto Tonelli.
Bit of discussion on the field.
Checked in on the mark by Anders Ruhl. Comes underneath, Riccardo Zanni. Finds Taduka. He seems as solid and reliable as ever. Does not look a step out of place on this Bologna row line. Lovely release to get that through to Caraceni. And that one is low, but it is rescued by Tonelli. They're having to work it around the handlers. They're not getting those big gainers and continuations downfield at the moment. Going around towards the far sideline, back in the hands of Caraceni. Squares up, swings. Now they're getting the continuation all the way across towards this near sideline, where De Luca has it, and he goes back central. Really trying to use the full width of the pitch here, Ali. Until they jack it deep, and they jack it for the score as well. Well, it felt like there was just a lot of back and forth, and that was why, I guess, just waiting for the opportunity for that shot to open up.
I mean, that point, I think the majority of the throws were to the break side. And of course, at this higher level, handlers, throwers are expected to be able to break the force with regularity. But to see CUSB rely on those break side cuts and being able to get those wide pivots and get round the force is really lovely to see. And I think there were a string of about 5 or 6 breaks, and then eventually someone was like, oh, I'll go on the open side then, if I must.
Well, that's the thing. If you continually attack the break side, you get those defenders cheating over a little bit there. And good cutters will recognise that and pick their moment to strike while the defender is caught on their heels.
We've got a bit of a Danish sideline here. Lots of blonde hair sitting in folding chairs on the sideline.
I find the Danish tend to be quite a loud tournament presence a lot of the time. And to be fair, a lot of that comes from KFK's own Sver Stutz, who is a larger-than-life individual.
Going to have to be very loud to compete with the stereotypically loud Italians, though.
Yeah, who are here in numbers, as usual, as this one is corked to go deep, and was searching for 18, Bastien Graham Poulsgaard. But in the end, just nothing doing.
Really nice bid from Tognetti, able to get nice and early and also avoid contact on that bid. Both of these teams have shown that they can be very physical at times. So it is nice to see players being respectful and not bumping each other, either underneath the disc or on the way up or down.
So Sweeney's a formidable handler on the turn now for La Fotta. And he breaks the mark quickly, and you can see there's that style of play from Bologna, using the break side early and using the break side often. Good adjustment there by the force to stop the throw go to the end zone. I'm pretty sure that Rossi was not the target there.
Seems to be some kind of call from the number 32, Haak.
Instead, they're just going to play it patient again. Sweeney finds a handler on the end zone, and Tognetti just a little pop in to Venturoli for the goal. 4-1 now to CUSB, and they look in ominous form early in this game.
Yes, I mean, it's not really a surprise that the reigning champions are being very dominant in this quarterfinal. But I think it's just a question of whether KFK are going to go quietly into the night or whether they're going to try and fight it out to the bitter end.
Well, I would be, knowing KFK, I would be very surprised if they did just give up on it. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing that they would do. And it is not the sort of thing that they should do. They should fight tooth and nail to get themselves back into this game, you know. See if maybe you could put a couple in on the bounce and rock La Fotta a bit. Although obviously they probably have an extra little bit of skip and swagger in their step, having won their first European crown at last xEUCF in 2019 in the airport fields in Kaul.
So I imagine this is KFK taking a timeout to catch their breath a little bit, reassess and see how they can, I think, potentially clamp down a bit more on these very quick breaks from this Bolognese side.
That's the thing, is that they move the disc so quickly and they use the break side so fluently that it feels like there's always going to be at least a defender or two out of position.
Yes, I'm wondering what a potential clampdown could be. Maybe trying to force middle, but that's, I guess, more for, you know, deep shots, just to kind of throw them a little bit.
Maybe something like FSU again, where you're trying to funnel all the action into a particular area. You've got those kind of wing defenders, perhaps, who could occupy players there. You've got the deep loitering, so that hopefully will dissuade that a little bit. The tricky, you know, is when you're playing sides as good as the sides in the top 8 in Europe, there isn't, you know, one easy textbook on how to beat them, because otherwise they wouldn't be the top 8 sides in Europe.
That's true, but I do have an idea. Can't break the force if there's no force. No force zone?
Well, I mean, you do not need to extol the benefits of that to me, because it is so much fun to play and it is even more fun to watch. But I would be surprised if we saw that come out of the locker here.
Can always dream, can always hope.
Right, I know. Maybe then someone would finally be comfortable enough to throw the thumber.
I'm guessing that hasn't happened yet.
No, surprisingly not.
I think I have seen a thumber throw, actually. I think it might have been on field 3.
Oh, interesting. I have to look that up. Right, here we go. Trying to stop the roll and slap it to the floor. Not done at the cleanest of opportunities. But Renström now goes all the way to this near side. Sverker. Underneath. And we're off to the races a little bit now. Oh. Big hammer over towards the far sideline. Sverk has it. Oh, it's dropped. It's dropped by Kasper Goldayer.
Looked like a lot of pressure from Sebastiano Chini.
I think the receiver probably would have thought that he had it there. And maybe you say that he should have had it there. But that's what La Fotta do. Even if they don't get a hand on it, they put enough pressure, they get in your head, and they plant that worry seed.
It looks like it's very much sprouting for the Danish side and may bear fruit if CUSB extend their lead a few more points.
So on the turn, D-line offense looking very regimented and very fluid. Here's Andrea Mastroianni. So showing his teammates that he wants that inside channel opened up. Doesn't find it though. Now they're working over towards the far side, and that blade is not going to be in. Was very high and very angular. Here's Sebastiano Chini. Dishes off. Looks at the end zone. This one's just going to float a little bit and invite some KFK defenders, but not invite them closely enough, because Massimo Valiviello. Valiviello. I thought that was right. And then
Valiviello.
Yeah, I can't read. It's early in the morning. Anyway. Massimo Valiviello, yes, makes the grab, and it's 5-1, and La Fotta look like they're in form here, Alice.
Yes, I don't think anyone would argue with that. I think they're also very much helped by the conditions here. As we mentioned, it is a little bit misty. It's a little bit cool, but there is not a breath of wind. It is incredibly, incredibly still. And so we saw that blade for the hockey assist to the end zone, and we're able to get kind of more indoors style throws, some spicy throws, and obviously it makes breaking the mark a lot easier if you have a very still wind conditions.
So only 17 minutes of the way through this 90-minute game. CUSB in no mood to hang around 5-1, but we have seen that this KFK can go on runs. They can get that little hot streak at times.
I wonder if there's an element of kind of, not fear, but, you know, when you're playing the champions in a quarter, or the reigning champions in a quarter, you know, that's slightly different to just playing any other team. No matter how much you tell yourself, you know, they're just people, they're just Frisbee players, you know, they are the champs at the end of the day.
So Paul fielded, and we're back in play here. Troisdal dumps off to Stutz, crossed over to the O-line to try and put a little bit of rhythm and flow back in his charges. And it seems like they're finding it at the moment. Gilman also crossing over. Fakes, looks around, motions into the backfield. Frees up Bruges. And that will bring a bit of a breather for the players because there's a pick downfield.
The Italians are counting down. They were shouting due. They've just shouted una. I'm wondering if something is going to happen once this next pass is completed.
Transition, perhaps?
To what? Transition from match to zone?
Maybe they transition how they play it, you know, rather than going forcing under or forcing deep. You switch that, maybe you switch the force a little bit.
That's not a bad shout. Oh no, it's just which way they're forcing. They called 2 for forcing towards the scoreboard and 1 for forcing towards us.
So like we would say home and away.
Yeah.
Underneath, through to Yamit Sloud, a little bit of an adjustment. Gilman had enough time, thought he was going to get it down the line before the false could get up into position. Stewart's looking for the inside break. Oh, did he find that? My word, what a throw. Now Gord wants to go back to Stewart's, and he's got him. Doesn't seem to be phased by the Italians, getting loud on the sideline, and goes for the 6th scuba to Anders Lear. Well, that is a good way to get back on the board for 5-2. And there is a very Scandinavian contingent in the crowd in front of us who seem to very much enjoy that.
Yes, I do love a bit of sidelining. I love a bit of, you know, home support and just seeing people supporting each other and just really emotionally invested in how these sports teams do. But that point, I mean, that inside break was like going up into your grandmother's attic and finding the crown jewels in a dusty suitcase, just shiny and beautiful, and then a scuba to top it off is just the icing on the crown jewels. I'm mixing my metaphors.
No, exactly. I mean, what else would you do with them? You can't eat them otherwise.
Crunchy.
I can imagine the look on Sverre's face after he gets that release off, and it is a grin that is eating a particular thing that I'm not allowed to say on stream. But you know what I mean, like the cheeky grin of a man who put €1 into a vending machine and got 2 bottles of drink out.
Oh yes, yeah. A cat who got the cream.
Yes, exactly.
Or a cat who put €1 into a vending machine and got 2 bottles of cream. All right, I'll stop.
No. I like extending and mixing these metaphors. It allows you to get a little bit creative.
So having a look at the KFK defense now. So we're being brought snacks by the wonderful and charming Hanny Pendlebury.
Yes, making use of the first game off to do the honourable thing and keep us all topped up. What a babe. There's going to be a little bit of an injury here. Christopher Gordas looks like he slipped on the mark and to be replaced by Anders Ruud. And you can see already he's getting active and agile on that mark. Bouncing on the toes. Doesn't want to let the throw go off, but they do swing it into the centre where Copy looks downfield. Goes underneath. Awkward high catch made by Michele Angela. High release is going to float, laid out, doesn't get there. It's another turn for KFK, the first they've generated since that first point of the game. Would you believe it? I have that down as CUSB's first turn, no, only CUSB's second turn or game.
Yeah, that might be their first turn. I think I flubbed the stats a bit earlier.
Oh, yes, maybe you did.
Either way, they've not been making many mistakes.
Bruges on the sideline. Bruges, a couple of defenders clog that channel to get the swing into the centre. The player in space on the near side doesn't get it in time, so instead they go back to the long, lean Gilman, who's doing a bit of throw and go. Very Italian style. I'd love to see it. Using their own weapon again. But now he leads Yamitslau to space, but too far out in front. Break opportunity comes to nothing.
The Italians waste no time in getting it moving, but a pit call will stop the play.
It's going to be Bricks to put the mark in. Looking downfield, unwinds, uncorks. Gilman's underneath it, but Gilman gets absolutely roofed for the grab. I mean, I thought he had good position. I don't think Bologna agreed.
No, as you say, they took off the old tiles, they put down new piping, and they put beautiful new shingles and roofed that poor man.
Yeah, a little bit of a posterising, that one. It is number 35, Guglielmo Chini. Or is it Chini?
It is Chini.
Guglielmo Chini with the grab in the end. Generally, I know what I want it to be, and it should be Chini, and then you look at it, and it's too tempting just to read it as it is sometimes. So, as with all pronunciations, we try our best, but we do apologise for any we get wrong, and if you want to tell us exactly how wrong we are, that's why there is a live chat and comment function on YouTube, or you can, put your money where your mouth is and become a patron, and then you get exclusive heckling rights to us everywhere we go, live and on stream.
You can also, just send us messages on Instagram or Facebook or.
No, I would not accept anyone from
Oh, okay.
not patrons. I've got a hard, fast rule. Instagrams are dangerous. No, I don't really.
Hey!
Well stopped, actually. You got very close to having to buy someone a beer there.
Yeah, a half nutmeg. You think you should have to buy half a beer? Or the fact that he caught it with his feet might even reverse it.
Didn't go all the way through, so I think no harm, no foul. So again, something a little bit different defensively from Bologna. They're not afraid to continually change up their looks and try and keep offenses guessing and second-guessing themselves. Okay, towards the far sideline. Get a little bit of space to work with, continue it. Do they go off to the races? Did they pop it underneath? Trying to thread those gaps through. Need to make sure that you can slow down when necessary. Well, that is going to slow it down. I think that's going to be a travel call.
Indeed. I'm not really a fan of those travel calls. We did have a rule change a few years ago, which means it made those slightly questionable travels where you throw and go a lot more legal. But I think some people still see someone essentially kind of running and releasing the disc and call a travel, which is, fair enough. I can see how it looks.
There's a real art to it, kind of exaggerating that pickup to make sure that not only you're not travelling, but people know that you're not travelling. But I think in the end, actually, this disc is going to stay with the receiver, which is Bastian Graham Poulsgaard. Oh, little bit of a stumble on the slick AstroTurf. Low, in hand of Luritz. No, it's not Luritz, that is, Hark. And now finds a way into the end zone. Renström finds a target. KFK back on the board. 6-3.
They didn't look the most comfortable it was a bit of a kind of shot through the middle and past a bidding defender and threading a camel through a needle. But, if it works, it works, and the point is a point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how pretty they are, they all count the same. No style points as yet in Ultimate, which is a shame, because I quite fancy myself as kind of the judge, kind of sitting there making notes and then holding up like a 6.0 afterwards.
Well, there are some tournaments where if you score from your own end zone line or behind it, it's worth double.
Yeah, like I know that Wildwood does that, but that is tiny beach force, and it's kind of not real frisbee. But yes, you get the weird situation where teams will be trying to move the disc into their own end zone, so that then they can score the 2-pointer in the other end zone. And then there's a temporary bit where teams are it's weird, man. It's proper weird.
Yeah, I think everyone at Wildwood would be insulted if you suggested that they were playing proper Frisbee.
I certainly hope so. Feels like it's very much not in the spirit of the thing. So 6-3 here. CUSB La Fotta, the Bolognese lead. KFK, the Copenhagen Frisbee Club, from the Danish capital, watches that all the way down into the hands. Cutter coming underneath, fakes it. It's Gasparini. This one, unbelievable bid from Emil Christensen. I mean, that is just ridiculous.
And right in front of the camera too.
So, yeah, one for the showcase reel, I think. The question is now, can KFK capitalise? Finds Trostel top. Well, I certainly there are some KFK players on the sideline who have all the confidence in the D-line offense. Going underneath, Ruha drops it, maybe with a little bit of a contact on the back shoulder. Wearing the red hat, you may recognise, looks to me like number 13, Arturo Laffi.
So a little bit of a discussion. It looks like Rüger is...
Yeah, uncontested.
Yeah. I think he was miming he had the disc in his hands and had control. Maybe a strip call even.
Yeah, there's no difference in hand signals between foul and strip, which is weird because they don't always give the same results. But anyway, that's a matter for a different time. Up line, still not quite in yet. Bricks. Ruha wants to put it all on his back, and Ruga does so. Finds the space to work up line. KFK's first break of the game. They now trail by 6-4, and we did say that when KFK get hot, they can get very hot. These couple of points is a definite heat check moment for the Danes.
Yes, I mean, that bid was absolutely ridiculous. Had no right to be able to react that quickly and do it so cleanly as well. And then to capitalise, some very calm kind of red zone offense. It did look a little bit crowded, and I've just said they look calm, but they also seem to have a slight edge to them. So we'll see if they can maintain their composure and maybe get some more breaks on the board.
Yeah, it's the question of do you keep that composure, stay calm, stay focused, stay grounded? Or do you ride that wave and that surge of emotion knowing that it can be risky and that if you lose it, all of a sudden you feel like you're out of form again?
Yes, and of course Bologna are no stranger to giving up breaks. They're a very seasoned team. They've been here before, and so they will know how to deal with this. I feel like I had a last clause there, but it eluded me. Got lost in the mist.
It's all right. If you bring it up, just let me know. Like, send me a postcard or something.
I will, all right.
You know, the classic stamped addressed envelope, and I'll get back to you within 14 working days. Which for me is every day this week, basically. Busy week with all of our crew actually on fields too here, having come straight from the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships in Villa Simius on the southeast of the island of Sardinia. So maybe we can understand a bit more what sort of conditions the Italians have come from, because Sardinia was absolutely scorching, Ali.
It was. It really was. It's a bit different in the north, though. But, I mean, Bologna still does have, you know, beautiful summers and less rain, I think, than we're used to on our wet little island.
Not that that's necessarily hard, but I do see your point, yes. Towards the near sideline, catching that blading throw is Trombetti. Trombetti into the centre. Now Riccardo Zanni tries to free players downfield again. Nobody to really get the big gainers, so Tonelli with a wicked inside break from that backhand to Gasparini. I think it's going to be a cool downfield. I don't think it had affected this throw. There's going to, it's Leo. Looks, and they're going to still maybe have a little bit of discussion.
I think it was a pick call, but no one signalled it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a pick, but I was just trying to work out if they were exactly that when it happened and when they're going back in the end. So the disc does go back into the handler's hands, and they're going for a low release break again. Expertly rescued. Clearly done his lifeguard training there. Riccardo Zanni Now goes underneath and he gets the little dish back off. So he's already seeing cutters downfield and tight on the sideline, but making the catch still is Gasparini. Leads one out for a receiver to bring down. And now looking, turns, pivots, motors back up the line, blade towards this near sideline. Brilliant offense that from CUSB La Fotta for a 7-4 lead.
I mean, you'd expect nothing less from them. But I will also say that KFK's defense was really, really hot in that last point. I think they've actually stepped it up in these last 2 points of the game. And we're now at 7-4. We've only been live. The game's only been on for 32, 33 minutes.
Half an hour or so.
So an average of 3 points a minute. This is lightning fast ultimate.
3 points a minute?
1 point every 3 minutes.
That is right. I was like, have I? Yes. No, you are. I knew what you meant. I just wanted to clarify.
That would be a lot of 90 points.
I was thinking, how tired am they? Thanks to everyone who's getting involved on YouTube. Hi to Paganello. I imagine there is a decent Italian contingent who will be in Rimini this weekend. So they'll be keeping an eye on Costa Rica, of course, the host club team there, and all the other Italian compatriots. Is there a streaming schedule available somewhere? We can tell you what we know so far today. We'll bring you a full update of that at half time.
Yeah, just quickly though, if you go onto the ulti.TV YouTube channel, there should be previews of all the games that we're going to stream there. Also, hi to my teammates from Torino at Paganello.
Ah.
In bocca al lupo, ragazzi.
I'll tell you what, it's not a bad place to be, really, is it, Paganello? I'm very much looking forward to going back at some point. Always had good memories there. KFK's O-line comes back out. First time we've seen them for a couple of points. Renström resets. Sverker, who I believe was one of those players who came over with the ascension of Ragnarok into planes beyond ours. Low throw that Luritz catches. And now Renström. High release over the top. Defender comes in to poach, doesn't get there. And now the big shot comes. Rossi is a bit of a monster in the air. And that time he just bodies out Bastian Graham, Poolsgaard. Got the better of that matchup. Another turn. And they're going to burn the timeout here, knowing that they've got an opportunity to... I thought he burned the timeout, but maybe he just kind of walked over it and then was dissuaded away from it. Maybe you juked me out a little bit there. It's going to be Luca Tognetti with such a powerful thrower for this D-line on the turn. Already got 3 assists to his name. How he would love a 4th.
Another pick on the field. Very good hand signals on the pitch, and indeed everyone echoing them on the sideline, which is very helpful.
Yeah, see, there have been a couple of discussions on the sideline, but they all look friendly in nature to me. Just kind of shooting the breeze a little bit with your opponent. You know, maybe put a little bit of cheeky heckling in there just to let them crack a smile. Because obviously you're competitive, obviously you want to win, but I think we have to appreciate that after 2 years of basically nothing, the ability to be here is a little bit special, as Tognetti does take the timeout. I mean, you've got a couple to use a half, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So both teams have, I believe it is 2 timeouts per half available for a total of 4 in a game, which is interesting. These games are only 90 minutes and game slot's only 100, so that's potentially quite a lot of time that could be spent in a huddle.
Yeah, we have seen a few games overrun this weekend, which is, it happens. No, it's not necessarily ideal, but 90-minute games and 100-minute slots, you want to make sure that you give players enough time to, you know, have a full-length game, but also you've got to get all the games in, so sometimes it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So I think we're going to just show you a quick commercial about what we do here at ulti.TV.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe. ulti.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
find
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
So, if that looks like something that you want to be involved in, then you can do so. You can find us on the socials. You can just interact with us on YouTube, doing the the Holy Trinity we called it yesterday: liking, sharing, and liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell. And if everyone who is able to puts a little bit of money back into ulti.TV, we can do more tournaments, more pitches, more games. More crew, like higher tech equipment. We can have a replay screen with an HDMI button that works.
If only, the dream.
But we will see what we can do. ulti.TV is the website where you can find all the details, or the link to our Patreon is in our YouTube descriptions. And there's the curse of the turnout.
Oh dear.
Well, that was just I'll be honest, it was just a stone cold drop from Calorotta.
Yeah, I mean, it always happens, or not always, but it happens with alarming frequency that after a timeout there is a turnover, which we'll talk more about. Oh no!
That was not the intended target. I think that Poulsgaard was making that cut through, and as he did through, came through at the wrong time, because that's when the centering pass to Renström was the option and got in the way. Sweeney, that is a bit late and a bit off target, actually, from Poulsgaard. Clearly he's trying to make amends for that error, but you just need to kind of rein it in a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like there was any contact, but maybe the number 23 just a bit concerned that if those starts of bids start coming out, it's not going to end well.
Pick downfield as the gun show comes out on the sideline.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, it doesn't work quite so well when most of the players are in like long sleeves.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it is that sort of weather here in Bruges. It's not raining, it's not really windy. It's just a bit parky, to be honest. This one.
Oh my word!
Z-line offense. What looked good earlier in the game has looked messy now for CUSB. Giving the disc back to KFK with alarming regularity from a Bolognian perspective.
Yeah, it's been a lot of turnovers in this point. Comparative. Wow, there it is.
It doesn't always have to be pretty. Sometimes you want to utilize the full width of this pitch, and sometimes you just need to force it round that open side cone and make a window for you to throw it in.
And that is a much-needed hold for KFK if they want to keep themselves within spitting distance of CUSB.
Are they allowed to do that with COVID and everything?
As long as they don't actually spit, if they just remain. Oh, I don't know. It depends how far you can spit, I suppose. If you can spit on 1.5 meters, then that's absolutely fine and very impressive, I might add. But if you can't spit very far, then yes, definitely not social distancing.
So 7-5 is the current scoreline.
So we hear a whistle, which is there to keep time, make sure that the teams don't dawdle on putting their lines together. The Danish sideline has somewhat diminished. I imagine a good proportion of them have their own game coming up.
Yeah, we do have a couple of women's power pool matchups to bring you. 10:40 local time. First pool gets underway there. Big gainer towards the near sideline to Guglielmo Chini. But maybe the reason the gain was so big was because Luffy was doing a little bit of a dragging of that pivot on the floors to maybe create a bit more space and separation to rake that underneath IO through.
Oh, we have a screen.
We do have a screen. Felix looks very happy. So are we. This one is into the middle. Can't be reeled in. Was looking for Wolfgang Mitterer, the Austrian. He's been playing with for a number of years now, but he couldn't make that one stick. Goes back to Yavidslav. really trying to move and manipulate the mark underneath of the former La Fotta veteran himself. Boris Yamislav goes up line. Doesn't like it. And the throw is behind Gilman. I think maybe a little bit of contact on the release.
I think there's been a travel call, but the Bologna players are signaling it should be a turnover because the throw was not caught. Which I think would be the rule. But there may be another call. I cannot see. There are people in the way.
Yes. This is the thing about watching these big, exciting games, is that does tend to be a crowd that attracts itself to them.
And our screen is gone again. That's nice.
Huzzah! I'm just until we get it consistently. Oh, there we go.
no.
I'm just going to assume the best.
I think the cable just popped out. We're all good. We're all good.
Yep. So the turnover will indeed stand. Your reading of the rules is the one that the players agree with. Interpretation is the word I was looking for.
I do have my advanced accreditation.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, what nerds.
Oh,
Laffy with a lead throw up line. De Luca. It high into the centre. It's reeled in. Now working it down the field nicely, actually finding a little bit of flow is La Fotta. One cut goes, no. Second, still no. So they go backwards. Don't want to continually drag out these each player's possessions because you can feel the stalk out rising. It gets a little bit of wind in the opposition legs. No, you want to keep this moving quickly. Keep them on their heels. Not have them time to set. It means that when you do get those mistakes and you do get those windows, they're probably likely to be a little bit bigger.
couldn't agree more. You should coach, Benji.
Well, do as I say, not as I do is evidently the thing. Pick, perhaps with a player coming through to the front cone. De Luca just popped it into Wolfgang Mitterer, and the goal's going to stand, actually. So that will take us into half-time with CUSB La Fotta riding riding a big run early at the start of the game to build a 5-1 lead, and we've kind of traded it from there. 7-5, the Italians lead, and as we go into the half-time break.
Yeah, so we kind of, it seemed like CUSB were going to just absolutely run away with it at the start of the game, but we've seen some admirable tenacity from KFK. They've managed to get some breaks of their own. They've fought back. They've had some incredible bids. And though I think CUSB still very much the favourite to win this game, KFK definitely not out of the running quite yet.
So earlier we had a question in the chat about what our streaming schedule is for the rest of the day. Coming up next, 10:40, power pool action from the women's division on both pitches. You're staying here with Lorcan for Love versus Yaka. Over on field 3 is Hannah and Ravi for Jinx versus Valkyria. Mixed quarterfinals at 12:20. Lorcan and I doing Salaspils versus the winner of Guayota versus Maitzerena. And then on field 3, Hannah and Sean doing Putti versus the winner of Colorado versus Seskidistus. At 2 o'clock, another mixed semi. Yourself, Annie and Hannah. No, Annie. Oh, it was Ali and Hannah. Been a long day. Sorry.
It's 9:45.
Yeah, I know, but we spent all night doing it. It took us a long time to do the broadcast schedule for yesterday.
Oh, that's fair.
Sorry, yes. Krut versus Monkey from Grenoble or Catch Up Graz, with Hannah and Ali here at 2 o'clock, and there's the first open semi-final at 2 o'clock as well on field 3, with Clapham All City playing Gentle and Foy. 3:40 local time.
Gentle and Foy together.
Yeah, combined.
Is
super team. Or one or the other, most likely, and or delete as appropriate. The other open semi-final starts at 20-4. That's on field 2, with the winner of this game playing the winner of the game currently on field 3, Randall Bad Skid, and there's also a mixed semi-final. To bring you another mixed semi-final at 5:20, along with a women's powerpool game of Valkyria versus Yaka, and then 2 more women's powerpool.
From CameronandCo.net, Architecture.
Very good. So the second half begins with the Danes KFK beginning on offense.
Oh, snatched.
So KFK looking to try and start this second half with a little bit of fire. You know, maybe get some energizing plays in the legs early on. underneath Hark. Very loud force on the sideline, and he gets back to Renström. This one is low, caught, dumped back off. Nice adjustment there, making the catch behind as Paul scored. Has it in his hands once more. Very distinctive with those tracksuit drop bottoms under the shorts. So it reminds me of a very Japanese look, actually.
I've heard a lot of people saying that, yes.
Especially not the women's team, because I think they just tend to show a lot less skin than women in from other countries.
I think it's the men too, actually. A lot of them didn't want to get tanned. I remember that in 2016 and 2018.
Also, I imagine it's warmer. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but in Australia, that's not necessarily what you want.
Yes, fair cop.
Yeah, I think it's just beauty ideals about paleness that are somewhat unfortunate in global culture.
Meanwhile, as English, we do pretty much whatever we can to get the slightly better shade of whatever colour we want to eventually become. I don't really care, and I don't think that'll surprise people that I don't really care about whether I'm tanned or not.
For those of you asking about the screaming schedule, thank you very much to Ravnadatta in the chat. EUF posted the streaming schedule about an hour on the EUF Facebook page. So if you want to open that in a new tab, do not click away from the excitement happening here. You will be able to see what is coming up next on the ulti.TV YouTube channel.
Yes, 7 games today on this pitch alone. Another 7 over on field 3, so 14 games. 7 games on this pitch, 7 games on the other pitch, 14 games in total just today. Available for free, live and on demand to watch at your leisure. So ulti.TV is the place to be. As this is quite an extended stoppage. Chopper's coming in to provide some rules clarification or some translation.
And those of you who have watched the CUSB documentary, which is also available on the ulti.TV YouTube channel, know that CUSB have had a bit of a problem in the past with bad spirit. They actually received a warning for it. And to combat it in their trainings, they made it so that basically you could not get involved in a call if you were not directly involved in it. So one of the things that they had a problem with was players getting involved in calls that didn't concern them. But looks like in that instance they were really able to not get involved, which is lovely.
Yeah, got it worked out in the end. As KFK float one up into the end zone. Reeled in by just trying to get an eye on the number. Might be Christian Luritz. Either way, goal stands. KFK with a nice clean hold to begin the second half to make the scoreline 8-6.
Yeah, not the most fluid in terms of. Well, there are a lot of calls in that point, and the number of picks seems to be rising in this game. We had a couple early on, and they seem to be happening with some regularity at this point. So hopefully both teams can sort out their spacing and their stacks and make sure that we don't have too much of a kind of stop-start experience here as viewers. Because that's really what they should be concerned about, right, is us watching.
Is the viewership, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we'll notice that Oliver Rosendahl has just walked past me for KFK, sporting a pair of Ragnarok gloves.
Limited edition now. Can't get those anymore.
Honestly, if I could get my hands on one of those old Ragnarok powder blue jerseys, oh, they were so beautiful. So beautiful. Powder blue is just a really good kit colour generally, I think.
I think Threesby has a pink and a powder blue with a big flamingo on it. So
there's a reason I like 3SB. Yeah, seeing the pink flamingos yesterday must have been a bit of a shock for you, having come straight from Sardinia, where that was very much in line with the tournament branding. Disappointing that they weren't there. Maybe in a fair few years down the line.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
That is absolutely bombed deep. Mitchell goes up, doesn't get there, but he's waiting and waiting for Zani to make the catch, and then he continues into the end zone, although there might be a call of some sort.
It looks like there's a foul potentially being called on Wolfgang Mitterer. I think it looks like Poulsgaard is claiming Mitterer went through him a bit. Sorry, that's not Poulsgaard. It's 99, not 9. There we go, Garda. So we'll just see it again here on the replay. We've got the going up early, 1, 2, and then the catch. So let's have a look here. Yeah, it looked like maybe there was a bit of a bump. If you would like to see the replay, Felix, can we show the replay again? There's a player who'd like to see it. Just someone from...
They look like they are happy to contest it and send it back. So it was Andrea Mastroianni who came over to the side to have a look at our little replay monitor. I don't think he was massively happy with the...
No, I don't think he was super impressed, but I think he also didn't stick around to see them land on the floor and then the cut from Medara. So we'll see. It's going back, so Bologna keep possession and have another chance to hold.
Yeah, it's always tricky as well because we're never privy necessarily to what the actual discussion is between the two players. Sometimes we get a field microphone in there, but we do not have that available for us this weekend, so we can only guess.
Yeah, we would like to be able to have a jumbotron that players could look to for replays, but we have a mini-tron on our desk, which does the job serviceably.
Just a normal, regular-sized Tron. Swinging around, goes quite a way back to eventually find Gasparini, whose throw is too far and it is too strong to be reeled in by Michele Angela.
Yeah, that's a rare unforced error from CUSB there. Lead passes have been pretty on point this game, you know, perfectly weighted, but just a little bit too much on that one. And a chance for KFK to bring it within 1.
So the Danes looking to go on one of those runs that they've become so famous for this tournament. Low and off the hands, so that won't be the point to start it. Prosdal couldn't do it. And at the second time of asking, Bologna just looked so unflustered, Ali.
Well, yeah, unflustered, but they're definitely very hyped. You can see Chopo in the purple, who's not playing this this tournament due to an injury, but he is definitely getting very involved. There he is on the screen. He's an emotional man, is Giovanni. In the best way.
I know it maybe panders a little bit to the kind of the archetypal, stereotypical Italian. You know, you've got that passion and you've got that fire. But you can tell, like, with CUSB, when it's rocking and rolling, there is a little bit of extra bit of pomp and swagger in this step, I think.
Yes, they certainly do put on a bombastic show. It's not... It's never boring ultimate, and it's an unfortunate thing that sometimes very good ultimate is also not the most exciting to watch, because it is those overthrows, it is those slight miscues that means we see spectacular plays, and, you know, high stall counts can bring amazing throws, not always.
Yeah, it's very rare that you turn on a highlights reel, you just see a team just like calmly grinding it down the field.
Yeah, naming no names.
Because I mean, if you honestly, a highlight reel of that would be long, and it probably would not be that interesting.
At least not to the average ultimate viewer, but.
Okay, so there is apparently a little bit of discussion about that previous call between two players. Maybe they'll have a look at it, and, you know, maybe if it was a bad call, own up to it and exchange some tokens for some Bruges later to make up for it. I don't think that's in the rule book, but I like the fact that people are perhaps willing to say, okay, you know, own up to your mistakes, even if in the moment you can't necessarily see the wood for the trees. That one is just about snuck through, but to no one in particular.
Yeah, so the Bologna defense is still, well, I say still, they've been doing force middle on and off. I think they've heard and seen a lot about this Danish deep game, and we certainly saw it yesterday. Had some absolutely devastating deep shots. So Bologna, clearly having done their research, are able to force the turn on that point, shutting down that deep game.
So the D-line offense gets back to work. No reset immediately, and they try to find the inside shot through. But it's the Swede, Jakob Brännström, who was there first and read it and got that inside line to hit it to the turf.
So a big gift from KFK.
And Sverker punishes it with ruthless efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very classic end zone play, and that is the reason that it is classic. Once you get a one-on-one matchup out in space, that offensive player is always going to have just a slight advantage. So a really lovely score and a hold for KFK.
So that makes the score 9-7. KFK not hanging up, not going away. That's what I meant to say. They are certainly hanging around in this game. And as we've seen, KFK, they can go on these red-hot streaks when it seems like there is no one in the tournament who can stop them. The question is, can they hit that rich vein of form here? It's one of the things that is very much easier said than done.
But if any team is going to do it,
this may be their first time in the... Trying to work out if they've ever been to European semi-final before. I doubt that they would have done.
yeah, they are, you know, always kind of second fiddle to Ragnarok.
Much to their chagrin, certainly. The fact that they were never able to knock off Ragnarok for a Danish title, I imagine has got a sting. But now they are the team to beat in Denmark, and they're giving a fight to the Italian reigning, defending European Ultimate Champions. Just trying to squeeze that down the far sideline, low, kept alive expertly. And that one is a nice confidence-boosting hold, just, you know, fundamentals, work it down the inside. When that's not there, change the hour for an out in front of you.
Doing what, sorry?
Sorry, what? I completely lost my train of thought there. It's been, yeah, the traveling life has taken it out of me a bit.
Yeah, it's been a pretty full-on week for us. But we are here, still trying to give you our all to bring you this coverage.
Yeah, I am desperately trying to cram some sugar into my system to give myself a little bit of a buzz. It's times like this I really wish I drank like tea or coffee.
Yeah.
Because it is way too early in the morning for a fizzy drink of some sort, and I could do with a little bit of a caffeine boost. Anyway, we live and learn.
So I wouldn't be surprised now if CUSB were happy to just kind of trade it out. Their offense has been pretty solid. Their defense has been getting turns, but as we're coming up to an hour on this game, we've got about half an hour left until the soft cap goes. If we stick with how quick the points have been, then it's quite possible that we might get to 15 in a relatively short amount of time.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. It feels like the Italians are just keeping KFK at arm's length at the moment. No more than that. It's always dangerous when you don't put teams away and when you let them hang around. There's always that chance of a comeback. This one played into space, a little bit dangerous. Couldn't get there in time. Luritz now goes back to his handler. Renström takes up offline. Oh wow, that is a very strange drop from Otiaia. Just never got his hands on it.
No, and that's the second kind of really needless drop we've seen. There was that one in the end zone with the hammer, and you know, at this level you just really cannot afford to be making simple mistakes like that. You should know how to catch.
I mean, you could see what was going on. He was looking downfield, already surveying his options for the next pass, and then he was like, this should be in my hands by now. And by the time he was looking down, he was desperately fumbling it and bobbling it and trying to give himself a decent shot at the catch, but did not even come close to it. I mean, sometimes it's just a bouncing out of the hands. That one, he just, again, just looked like he was not ready for it.
Yeah, it's but you have to be, you know, in these games. You really have to be ready for anything, and if a disc comes near you, you need to try and snaffle it. Just a response to Bobby, I'm afraid the wide-angle camera lens is on top of a big pole, We don't have a scissor lift here at ulti.TV, so in order to clean it, we would have to take it all the way down and then put it all the way back up, which would take a while. It means we might miss some of the action here on the field. So apologies that it's not absolutely pristine, but we're working with what we have.
You've been in competitive bracket games at major tournaments, Ali.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is being said in those various huddles?
So I imagine two very different, things are being said. Obviously, both these teams in very different situations in this game. I imagine the Bologna coach is advocating for more of the same. They've been playing really, really well all game. This is not a time to take your foot off the gas, but it's also not a time when you need to be, 112%, giving everything, bodies on the line. They've got 2 more games today, potentially 2 more games today. You need to make sure that fatigue doesn't set in too much, no one gets injured. Whereas for KFK, you lose this game and you have no shot at the final. So even if it means giving absolutely everything and meaning you're maybe not as fresh as you could be for a semi, you have to get there first and you have to do everything to get there.
Yeah, of course, KFK currently in the situation where they are very much behind the 8 ball. So Mastroianni goes with the lefty to begin the point, or at least begin it after the timeout. Floats a little bit, but not a problem to be reeled in. Spisso. That's I get the feeling there's been a pick, Ali.
What could possibly have given you that indication, Benji?
Hey, I like it. Nice, big sideline, loud call, hand signals. Make our job and everyone else's job on the pitch as easy as possible. That, of course, is the goal.
And it is also clearly indicated in the rules that if you hear a call, you should echo it.
The tricky thing is when you think you hear a call and you don't, and then you echo it and you're trying to work out exactly what it was. It does happen sometimes.
Yes, that can be tricky.
It's like people with names like Nick tend to get nicknamed quite frequently, so you don't want any possible confusion.
Yes.
Going to be an injury substitution here. It is Gasparini replacing Spisso. No, it's not. That's the other side. It is Tobias Graham-Pulsgaard replacing Rasmus Otjaer.
And the sun is peeking through the clouds here in Bruges as another pick will stop the play.
It's quite lovely when the sun's out, actually. Hopefully that'll add a bit of warmth to proceedings. AstroTurf a little bit slick with dew this morning, as is, I must admit, a lot of the turf around the centre.
Yeah, the fog's just starting to clear in the distance. You can see the trees a bit more sharply now.
Again, trying to fake the around. Second, third, maybe 4th time of asking. Eventually got it out. Another call downfield, maybe a push-off foul from the receiver, Andrea Mastroianni.
When that break went up, the one of the KFK coaches on the sideline was visibly frustrated. I imagine something that was said in that timeout huddle was, you've got to stop these round breaks because they are so killer and their break side continuation cuts are so perfect. It's something you really have to try and contend with when you're playing CUSB.
I mean, I think everyone knows at this point that no breaks is shouted so frequently at a time, and it doesn't actually very much offer you much information. I think a lot of the time people use that as a facsimile for no around.
Yeah.
But when you can get off low release rounds like that, it's difficult to stop. It's Sebastiano Chini. Gasparini, well, he may say that he made a bit of a meal of that catch, but it was executed absolutely expertly.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much textbook CUSB. They're not going to let a disc that is near them go uncaught.
So, it's not far out. Mastroianni looks for the offhand instead with a cheeky little blade over the top. Pulls just a little, almost like a little penknife out of the bag. Pops it in. Break for CUSB. Their first break of this second half, I believe. puts them up 11-7, and now they're opening a bit more of a gap over the Danes.
I think they might have broken to start half, maybe. Oh, no, sorry, the Danes scored out of half. I can't read.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, honestly, you would think that would be the easy bit, but apparently not. Yes, I meant that only one turnover all half for La Fotta, and that is ominous if you are another team with title hopes this week.
Yeah.
Very ominous.
Pretty impressive. I do wonder how the other quarter is going. Do we have any updates on that, Benji? So
the other one that is in action at the moment, Ranelagh versus Bad Skid on a very foggy field 3. Bad Skid are currently up 12-11 with Ranelagh with the disc in their position. You can watch that also live and for free on the ulti.TV YouTube channel. Let me see if I can get some eyes on the other 2 quarterfinals, which are Clapham, Wall City, and Foy versus Gentle. Foy are up 12-10 on Gentle. So looks like Foy might have a semi-final berth. I think that would be their first. Last we heard between Clapham and Wall City, it was 2-1. So I'm assuming that we're just not getting regular updates from that. Because that one over the top, just got enough pressure on to prevent it going to hand.
I mean, I love the look, but maybe holster that one.
It's so good when it comes off, but you do sometimes look like a bit of a mug when it doesn't.
Yeah, just stick it in your back pocket for later.
Let's put it in your lap for a bit. Squeezing that one down the sideline. So cool, as calm and confident as you like. Tognety's got 3 assists this game. Well, now he's got a goal to add to that as well. Another break. I mean, just the level of how clinical CUSB have been in the second half is something to behold. I mean, that makes it 12-7, and it feels like everything's a little bit rocked for KFK, and there's no surprise to see them call the timeout.
Yeah, it really feels like Bologna have shifted gears and are starting to pull away from this Danish side. I mean, KFK were kind of sticking with them. They were trading, but CUSB now, I think they're sort of gradually accelerating away, and KFK are going to need to really try and put the brakes on somehow on this Italian car.
Something we have seen, though, and I know that we talked about it a lot, is this ability for KFK to go on the streaks. You know, taking half against Red Bulls, 8-0. You know, they demolished Costa Rica 15-3, I think, in the end.
Yikes.
7 in a row in the second half against Isno to go from 8-6 to 15-6. So they have these long runs and these long break trains in them. But with all due respect to those oppositions, they are not La Fotta. They are not the reigning European champions.
And I think it's having, you know, these guys have, I think, 8 new players who are new this season. That's a lot of people to try and incorporate into a team. That's, you know, more than a full line. And for a club that has only recently kind of come to the forefront of Danish Ultimate, I think making quarters is a huge achievement. As you've said, they've probably not necessarily made it this far before. At least certainly not, you know, recently while Ragnarok was still around and kind of dominating the Danish scene. So I don't think, you know, it's just a case of, you know, CUSB have been here before, CUSB have done this before, KFK haven't. You never know how you're going to react until you get there, you know, no matter how much you drill and you practice.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like that real in-game, game time scenario. It's like, how many times do you see people say, yeah, I've done loads of training, I'm fit, I'm ready to go after an injury, and then after their first kind of full proper game back at a tournament, they're on the sideline and they're just completely wiped because it's a different level of fitness from doing it in practice and doing it in the game.
Yeah, and the level that you have to play against, you know, is so different. And when you're training against people in training, you know them, you kind of know what they're going to do, and then you face up against these teams from over Europe who are so good, and it's so much more tiring than you expect.
And you don't necessarily have the mental aspect of your game there as well. There's a KFK player down quite heavily on the ground.
Yeah, that looked like a bit of a collision. I hope he's okay.
I think I did see him signalling some sort of foul call, maybe.
Well, I think he's going to have to take an injury at this point. Yeah, so a foul call. We're seeing the hand signal there.
So if an injury is, if you call an injury, you are obliged to take an injury sub, unless that contact is caused, unless it's an injury is caused as a result of contact with an opponent.
Yeah.
In which case you can stay on and take a timeout instead. I imagine if I didn't see him actually make an official injury call. I think he was just
Yeah.
kind of taking his time a little bit.
I have seen some dicey things happen. It's a uni indoor tournament once where a guy laid out up the line and then just sort of lay on the floor for a bit. Like he caught the disc, but he was just kind of laying on the floor. So everyone kind of stopped because they were like, "Oh, we should check this guy's okay." And then he just got up and threw an assist to a player who was like poached in the end zone. And it was like, not sure how I feel about that one.
Spirit of the game.
What's that? Yeah, well, uni players maybe don't have necessarily the best grasp of spirit, which is obviously hashtag not all uni players.
Yeah,
some play with excellent spirit.
I was hecking great at uni. I'm basically like a team mascot. It's great.
So we're still discussing.
Nerdy mascot that knows all the rules, though, obviously.
There we go.
So finally we get it checked back in, and back in the hands of KFK. Big hammer over the top from Stutz, finds its target, using those overheads to really try and stretch this zone. Good move, I think. But again, there's no synergy between when the handlers are swinging it and when the cutters are going. And that means that they're moving it entirely pretty much between their handling core. It's a good way to find the space on the near side. Very good adjustment there to make the catch. That is a Emil Christiansen for the Danes. Now they're going down the far sideline. Up to the races a little bit. Love that they took their time to reset and reset and reset until they had an opportunity to open it up. And now they've picked up the tempo a little bit somewhat. Stutz fakes the hammer, and you know he might throw it. And he's a sucker for a timeout, isn't he? We saw him take 3 in the game we streamed for them yesterday. He's taken 1 here as well.
Thank you, Benji. That's going to come in stalling 7. We saw the mark holding up 6 fingers, so it's going to be coming in stalling 7. That is not a lot of time with which to get the disc moving from static.
I imagine it'll probably be 1 or 2 seconds to turn and isolate a reset, and if it's not there, just scuba into the end zone or knife into the stack or something so he comes out with it.
Yeah, there's the slightest of breezes which is starting to rustle the leaves in the trees around this field. So, I mean, dicey. We would love to see it, of course we would, but we'd also like to see, I would like to see this game stay close and KFK not just lose it onto the rubber crumb.
I'd also like to see people not get hurt.
Yes, yes please. Also that.
I'm a big fan of that.
Shout out to Amir, who doesn't know what he's talking about in the chat.
To be fair, is that not what YouTube chat is for?
To be fair, I did have a bit of a temper at uni, but I worked on it. I sorted it out.
Yeah, sure you did.
Oh.
No, actually, to be fair, it's one of those things where if you can take a time to work on it, you know, work on yourself as a person sometimes.
I think also just when you're kind of 18, 19.
You are naturally a bit more hot-headed when you are.
Yeah.
Your body's going through a lot of changes. Your life goes through a lot of changes. You know, when you think about, we mentioned earlier that, you know, CUSB tried to turn around the spirit. It's because you work on it. At one point, Clapham had, you know, were noted for being terribly spirited. So they had a thing. They tried it, but in trainings, they just wouldn't let people contest fouls. Yeah. Because it got to the thing where people would foul contest, like they would never talk about it. Yeah. So they had to actually discuss it and come to a resolution. Its spirit is something that you can work on. Oh my word, well, whoa. Talk about drawing up a play off the timeout, and Sverre Stutz has sliced him and diced him like a fine sushi chef. Brilliant play that from Stutz. Lovely cut towards the near side of this end zone as well. I mean, talk about, you know, we've talked about the curse of the turnout before, but that one was brilliantly executed.
Yeah, that's sort of the polar opposite of what happens after a lot of timeouts. I think the fact, especially because it was trapped on the sideline and very near the end zone, and those are two things that can kind of stress you out a little bit. You know, you're trapped, you don't have as many directions to throw in, because if you throw it behind you, it's going to be out of the pitch, obviously. So yeah, really, really awesome from Stutz, and they have to be pleased with that. Even if they do not win this game, there are so many really excellent moments that they can point to and say, we did that really well. And then there are lots of other moments that they can point to and say, okay, we've learned from this and we can incorporate it into our training and we can come back the next time and do even better.
So trying to get a little bit more action around the tournament. Bad Skid currently up 14-13 on Ranelagh on our other streamed field. The other quarterfinals we are looking at in the Open Division. Gentler tied it back now with Foy at 12 all. Currently do not have any eyes on the score between Clapham and Wall City. If we do get an update on that, we will, of course, let you know.
It's got the Danes in a slightly poaching off the handler's defense.
I like this look. Trying something different, because it might take a couple of passes for the CUSB line to adjust, and you feel with the quality and the talent they have, they will adjust, but you know, maybe you can get a couple of cheap turnovers out of it on the way, and that will, you know, put you only a couple of points behind. Maybe you can then throw out something different, switch back to something else. You know, keeping the offense on their feet, head on a swivel, because they're not sure where they're being marked from, who's marking who, how everything develops. It does make you a split second more hesitant. Maybe don't have the same full energy to attack discs underneath, perhaps, for example, as you otherwise would.
Couldn't agree more. And there was some really nice upfield switching as well by KFK, just to neutralise a deep cut.
So copy.
Oof, that's going to be a pick.
This vertical stack is in very tight, and the way they're cutting, it is causing a lot of picks.
Yeah, there's a kind of a cut to the break side, and then a sort of a 40, or rather like a 90-degree turn very across the front of the stack, which is, yeah, if the defender's a little bit behind you, it's going to be a pick. Oh, those breaks are just delicious.
DeLuca wanted the dish, but it's going to go back in the cabinet for now. Not quite ready to come out of the oven, and that one just popped in, cool as you like, from Arturo Laffi to someone who is now a CUSB veteran, the Austrian Wolfgang Mitterer. That makes it 13-8, and CUSB 2 points away from another semi-final.
Yeah, we have got 9 minutes left before the soft cap will go. So it's anyone's game, or rather, sorry, anyone's guess as to whether we will reach 15 before then, or if KFK are going to put up a bitter fight and try and claw some points back, get the best possible score they can out of CUSB, which they absolutely should, and I certainly hope they are going to, both for our sake, for your sake, the viewers, and for their own sake. Oh, okay, wonderful. We've got bots in the chat. Does this mean we've made it?
Oh,
those in the chat, if you could just help us out and report those comments, that would be super helpful. And that is a mammoth pull. But it's bounced out. It will be jogged to the front of the end zone line.
a little bit of a shame there, but I feel like the quality of the pulling hasn't necessarily been sensational in this game, but that was a decent start to this point defensively for La Fotta.
Oh, big overhead throw. I've been loving these overheads from the Danes.
Well, they're giving them the space to hit, and they're challenging KFK to try those overheads, and they have answered those challenges with some aplomb generally.
And another upside down throw. Upside down and inside out. That should have been a backhand, but instead it was a scuba.
Yeah, seems legit to me.
What is going on? I mean, I love it, but what is going on?
KFK looking downfield. There's an option on this near sideline if they wanted, or they might go over the top once more.
CUSB sticking with, or rather they've transitioned to an away force near the end zone. Force middle can be very hard to execute. Well, not to execute, but it's just a bit harder to defend against, rather.
Shot into the end zone. Picture perfect layout from Tobias Graham, Poolsgaard. KFK close it to 13-9, but they've still got a lot of work to do here, Ali.
That was a really long point, relatively. There were a lot of passes, a lot of upside down passes, and then just closing it out with that gorgeous, gorgeous layout. KFK are still fighting. They are still here, and I am also absolutely here for this.
The patience and the discipline to, you know, not get overexcited, you know, focus on your technique with those overheads, play it around, but then when you see the opportunity to make a play, go out there and make it.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to like stand back and admire things, don't you? That layout might be one of those.
Yeah, I feel like we've had some layouts this tournament that have been on the highlight reels that are just, you know, it's not like they're even just going to ground. They need to get that little bit of extra edge. It's that they actually need to launch themselves a significant distance through the air. It's incredible.
So in the other streamed quarterfinal, Bads could have taken a timeout on the Randler end zone with the disc in the hands to break for a 15-13 win. The winner of that game will play the winner of this contest in the semi-final.
And I think that's also going to be an absolute rip snorter of a game to...
This one floats and dismissively slapped down to the turf by Emil Christiansen. I mean, no nonsense with that.
No, I mean, we have talked a bit on the stream before about the merits of catching your Ds.
Which I still think you should.
Yes, but when it's that decisive a smack to the ground, and immediately back to CUSB.
And that's the problem if you don't catch it, is that it allows the defense to get set as well. And there was a lot of pressure on the cut from Yamitslau. And look how quickly they get into flow, keeping the disc moving, doing what KFK couldn't, and keeping the opposition on their heels and at their back. And again, it's that cut that's coming through. I mean, it's coming pretty much directly through the stack. So it's not a surprise that you keep getting picks on it.
Yeah, that's something that CUSB maybe need to try and sort out before their next game, is, you know, just not getting excited and cutting through the stack. If there's a small space, because your defender is not going to be able to follow you.
Yeah, and that can, you know, especially if you're coming at speeds, you can get collisions. What a way to get the disc back. Some measure of revenge from Loritz Yamitslau.
Yeah.
A former La Fotta player himself knows exactly what it takes to beat these Bologna Bulls. And now it goes deep, looking for a player streaking. Christopher Briggs has the goal. It's a break for KFK to make it 13-10. This game ain't over yet.
No, and I'm so here for this KFKD. They are so committed. They have so much passion. They have so much drive. And CUSB are now going to call a timeout.
Well, you've got two to use. You may as well, you know, rather than waiting until it's too late, get ahead of the matter almost, nice and early.
Was that Yermitslev with the score?
No, the score was bricks. Number 24.
Thank you.
That is quite all right. And you can see the tails are up now for KFK. Could they be going on one of their famous runs that they do? They have shown this time and time again this tournament.
Well, we have about 2 minutes until the soft cap goes, so they only have to get, they have 3 chances to bring it to Universe, 4 chances to win the game. So we may end up, if they do go on a run, with a slightly delayed women's quarter.
Other news from around the tournament, thinking about the semi-finals or the quarterfinals in the Open division, it is knotted now at 13s between Gentle and Foy on the other side of the bracket. I haven't got any eyes on Clapham versus Wall City, and I think that Ranelagh may have just equalised on the far pitch to take it to Universe against Bad Skid.
Whoa, that's exciting.
We've got an idea of what the streamed games are. We're going to be streaming 3 of the 4 mixed quarterfinals. Got a couple of women's power pools coming up at 10:40 first. Both open semi-finals, both mixed semi-finals, and then 3 women's power pool matches to end the day. But there is potential that those may change. So if you want to know exactly what's going on and when, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you ring that little bell button, you will get notified whenever ulti.TV goes live, and you can find out what's going on and watch all the games live for free on demand on ulti.tv's YouTube channel. We are too good to you sometimes, I think.
And if you'd like to donate and keep Ultimate free, all of our links to our Patreon are in the video description. We love being patronised. Please do become a patron.
Please patronise us at as much as you would like.
We're not above begging. No, we are above begging, I'm kidding.
Are we? Maybe you are.
Asking nicely, as opposed to begging.
Yes, that's the thing. I appreciate that it's not easy for everyone, but if everyone who was able to could chip a couple of bucks in, then we could do, think about an EUCF where you've got even more fields streamed, you've got more cameras, there's more crew, more commentators, so everyone's a little bit sharper. It's, that's something that we want to build towards here at ulti.TV. All very congested at the moment, it has to be said, as that is going to be a knock on the ankle, I think, there.
Did he hit his foot, or did he sort of twist his ankle?
I think it's the player coming through from the number 50, Anders Ruger. He's trying to kind of come round and maybe clips the ankle, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, it definitely did look like there was a slight glance off each other. Oh, uncorks.
Trying to find some some sparkling, I was going to say champagne, that's not Italy.
Prosecco.
That's the one, thank you very much. It's too early to think about booze.
Oh, speak for yourself, Benji. I'm always thinking about booze.
Really?
No, not at all.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like you. I thought you were supposed to be the sensible one.
I know, I'm trying to break out of these rigid confines.
Guglielmo Ghini, tell you what, he got very close to that one. He's got a big wingspan. He's a tall lad and very much needed it, and maybe an inch more underneath the bid comes in but doesn't get there.
He's got a deep cut free after some effort, but it's quite congested on the downfield.
Really pumps the fake downfield. Gilman toes it on the far sideline, looking to put in KFK's 3rd point in a row now. Here's Bricks. Caught the goal the previous point, going back to Ruger. This one is going to be a bit of a floater, and Keeney makes amends just about to knock it to the turf. It nearly fell into the lap of Stutz. Didn't quite fall for him, but Christopher Gorda, I think, got a big bump there, and he's going to have to come off for an injury. Nikolai Troosdal-Tarp will replace him.
Yeah, he definitely got a lot of Italian shoulder into his torso, and maybe that caused him to come down and land a little bit awkwardly. He's lifting up his right ankle a bit. But yeah, not worth getting injured or playing through a bit of pain here. So,
trying to prevent the comeback. That's a beautiful lead throw. And you could see DeLuca's eyes light up as he tried to milk it. But then Anders Ruha with a layout point block to get the disc back for KFK. We mentioned that they can do this. They can get their tails up. They can get on a run. They can get on a hot streak that not even the spiciest peppers can keep up with. Scything lead breakthrough to Ruha is one of the powers of this comeback. Yamitslau, Gilman is wide open underneath. Gilman makes the catch. Now looking downfield, trying to scythe one down the sideline. Lay out, and it is made by Lorenz Yamitslau, but there is a call perhaps. I'm not sure whether he's in or out. Can't quite see the sideline on that far side. I think that is probably the discussion.
Well, we'll presumably see it on the replay here. We are on the other side of the pitch and very much do not have the best perspective. Unfortunately, our Minitron is broken. We've got some Bologna players who are running over, and also a Danish sideliner, just to maybe make sure that everything is reported accurately.
Yeah, making sure that they both see the same thing. Ooh, it's a question about exactly when he gains control. And it is very tight either way. It is very tight either way.
Yeah, I think that might have to be one that if the Italians are not willing to take the word of the number 13.
It is very tight.
I mean, I would like to call that in, but it looks like I think it may be contested and brought back.
Yeah, it's tight. I would say it's not conclusive either way. From my eyes, I would give him the benefit of the doubt, but I appreciate that sometimes you see what you want to see and stuff with these replays, and so when it's not, clear cut, sending it back's not a terrible result. Sometimes there's a bit of a bundling, maybe a slight arm in the back there, and a KFK player falls to the floor, and the CUSB player falls over him. It's Keeney and Brix, the two involved.
Apparently, the semi-final on the other pitch is becoming a real slobber knocker on a universe point.
So a little up-line cut from Brix. Stutz, again looking for that delicious inside break, but it's just too far for Ruha to lay out for. Maybe another chance this point for CUSB La Fotta.
So the soft cap will have gone. So once this point is put in, if CUSB score, it will be game to 15 no matter what. If KFK manage to get another turn and score, it will be game to 14.
Simone Gasparini. Down the sideline. Catch is made by Trombetti. Just trying to work it underneath, trying to stay calm, trying to stay positive, make sure that there's no possible way the KFK player can get a bit on it, but they are right on that shoulder. They are not going to let them have it easy. They're going to make La Fotta expend every possible ounce of sweat or energy, everything they have in them. Beautiful inside break with that backhand, floating one towards the far sideline is DeLuca. Thought maybe he was going to look in the backfield for a bit. Cluttering, eventually a player comes through to make the catch. I think that's Copy, but stoppage downfield.
In the other game, Ranelagh have just got a turn.
Oh, spicy. Spicy. Faking a low release backhand. And then maybe a little bit of a bump as the player comes through. Wants the low release. Doesn't get the low release. Towards the near sideline, two players there. And dished into the end zone from the goal. DeLuca finds the target in Zani. That'll be 14-10, game to 15. For those of you who don't want to know what's going on in the other game, cover your ears now, because Ranelagh have broken bad skid on Universe to take their first European semi-final berth. Congratulations to the Dubliners. That is a program-making victory. Joining them in the semi-finals, we know Clapham dispatched Wall City 15-11.
Oh.
And Dublin's Ranelagh will be playing Gentle Open They had a comeback themselves. They beat Foy 15-14 also.
Oh.
So, on one side of the bracket, you have Gentle versus Ranelagh. On the other side, it's looking like, well, it is Clapham, and it is looking at the moment like CUSB La Fotta will be their opponents. But until this game is done, we do not know just yet.
And that is going to be a game that I imagine is almost a... Hang on, so there'll be a semi potentially with CUSB and Clapham. Did I hear that right?
No.
Oh,
yes,
no, okay.
that's what I said, but I think I said that, but I think I am wrong, is what I said.
Yes.
Yes, I am wrong. So it would be, it is Clapham versus Gentle, and then whoever wins this will play Ranelagh.
There we go, okay.
There we go. Got there in the end, sorry. It is, until I've had lunch, I'm basically not a person.
So KFK with what is a very, very important hold.
Yeah, it's, at this point it is now. You have to score every single point remaining in this game. High stall scuba across.
Oh
well, I feel like it shouldn't have worked, but Renström didn't agree with me. Laid out to make the catch. Poulsgaard, stoppage downfield.
On the sideline, we've got Sverre Stutz just looking at us and laughing slightly manically.
As he is wont to do sometimes. Deep huck, that's nicely reeled in. Luritz dumps off. Poulsgaard, high release. Back to Luritz. Very tight space, Renström. Lead throw through to the handler, that's a lovely little pass. And then the continuation comes for the goal. Svaka finds his target. That'll be 14-11. So can KFK get the break train rolling? CUSB La Fotta 1 point away from another semi-final of the defending champions. But the Copenhagen Frisbee Club, they're not out of it just yet.
No, they're certainly, I mean, just the amount of chutzpah that this Danish side have. That a lead pass high stall scuba. That's definitely something I have not seen before. I know I've only been in the Ultimate community for 6 years, but even so.
Okay, look, I will say I've seen it because I have thrown that before, but that doesn't mean that it was a good decision then, and it doesn't mean it was a good decision now.
Did
but
it complete
worked.
when you threw it?
Yeah, sure, why not? Makes the story better. I can't remember. But it's definitely the sort of thing that I would throw just to get myself out of a sticky situation rather than break the force properly.
Was that indoors, though?
Why would you throw scubas indoors?
Okay, so it was.
No, I genuinely, I'd probably not. Like, I don't really got enough space to really do a lead break scuba. You need a bit more space for it, I think. For a dump, like indoors is quite congested generally. Lorcan's made his way over from the narrow field. It looks like he probably needs a drink a little bit stiffer than the one he's got.
He looks like he's been through a war.
Yeah, it is. I think he's earned himself a little bit of a breather. Although, given how rapidly the game's come, I don't know if he's going to get one.
That pull was absolutely beautiful.
Because it's given KFK a chance to get their defense set quickly. But this is why you're European champions, because in the face of pressure, you can just rip one deep to Simone Gasparini, and CUSB La Fotta will take their place in the semi-finals. They will play the Dubliners after a 15-11 win here, Ali.
It's interesting, the KFK, the Danes are actually celebrating more than the Italians are. I think the Italians have won, and they know what a big task they have ahead of them to reach the finals and go all the way. But man, what a game!
And the best part is we've got so much more to come. You're staying here. Lorcan is joining you for some women's power pool action. Love against Yaka from France, maybe the tournament favourites for this year. Over on the other pool, it's going to be Jinx versus Valkyria on field 3 with Hannah and Ravi. So with the semi-finals set in the open division, Clapham versus Gentle, and now off with this win here, La Fotta versus Foy. That'll wrap us up for this game here on ulti.TV's coverage of xEUCF 2021. For the aforementioned Ali Thomas, I've been Ben Cherise, and I'll see you on the other side.
See you then.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ulti.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and
beyond.
beyond.